What's up? You're watching Creative Tucson, Channel 20. This is the 5 on 20 news for Wednesday, September 20th. I'm Luc Goodhart, coming to you live from the Creative Tucson studios in downtown Tucson. First, let's do local headlines. Arizona Representative Raul Grijalva was arrested yesterday during an immigration protest in front of Trump Tower, along with 2 other members of Congress. Grijalva was taken into custody after the protesters blocked traffic outside the building. He posted on Facebook that he, quote, stood in front of Trump Tower today with a whole lot of dreamers, immigrants, and Americans to say enough to Trump and his criminalization of our immigrant communities, end quote. The group was protesting the recent decision by the Trump administration to end the Deferred Action on Childhood Arrivals, or DACA, the Obama-era policy that allowed those who came over the border illegally when they were children to stay in the country without fear of deportation. Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced the policy change 2 weeks ago, leaving a 6-month grace period for Congress to solve the issue. Grijalva was arrested alongside Democratic Representatives Adriano Espaillat of New York and Luis Gutierrez of Illinois. Trump was inside Trump Tower after he delivered a speech to a UN General Assembly earlier in the day. The protesters were calling for Congress to pass legislation that would allow DACA recipients a pathway to citizenship. In a statement before being put into handcuffs, Grijalva said that it's within our rights, it's civil disobedience, it's not violence, and it's protected under our laws. Inside Trump Tower, the president sat on the toilet, thumbs furiously, tweeting about how the laws need to be changed. The Arizona Supreme Court ruled on Tuesday that same-sex spouses have equal parental rights as heterosexual couples. The case was launched after a woman who divorced her spouse and sought parental rights after the separation. Since the mother was artificially inseminated, there was no law on the books to serve as a precedent. State law assumes that the man in a marriage is the father of any child born during the marriage, but the law doesn't include women. Kimberly and Susan McLaughlin married in California in 2008 and moved to Arizona during the pregnancy. Court papers stated in February 2011 that the couple entered a, quote, joint parenting agreement, declaring Susan as a co-parent. The attorney for Kimberly McLaughlin, the mother of the child, claimed that Arizona law does not establish any rights in artificial insemination cases for the non-biological parent of the same sex. But the court sided with Susan McLaughlin, the spouse, saying that she was entitled to the same parental rights a man would receive. No word yet on which parent would be expected to sit through the 4-hour dance recital on Sunday. Tucson is the worst city in Arizona to live, according to a report by MSN.com. The site took the 91 incorporated cities in the state and considered a number of factors such as crime, employment, and poverty rates. Tucson suffered largely because of its high poverty rate, which stands at over 25%, the highest of any city in Arizona and higher than the national average of 14.7%. The city also lost points because of slow economic growth compared to other cities such as Phoenix and Yuma, which have seen larger job gains over the past year. Tucson's unemployment rate remains slightly above the national rate, with the employment rate rising just 2.1% from 2013 to 2015. However, since the establishment of a minimum wage raise, Tucson's economy has done fairly well in the past year, so this metric could boost us to, I don't know, how about second worst? Tucson also had the highest property crime rates in the country, with over 6,600 crimes reported per 100,000 residents in 2015. This is more than double the national rate of about 2,400 incidents, according to the website. But the report didn't account for the city's thriving art scene, its unique culture, its bomb Mexican food, and the fact that Phoenix kind of just generally sucks. People sleep better when a dog is napping nearby, according to a study by Scottsdale-based hospital. The Mayo Clinic study said that people who slept near a dog averaged nearly 7 hours of sleep per night, higher than the average American, who generally gets less than 6 hours of sleep. Dr. Lois Cron, one of the authors of the study, said that we found many people actually find comfort and sense of security from sleeping with their pets. However, the study said that the pup should sleep on the floor rather than the bed, since participants got less sleep when that snoring pooch shared the mattress. The study monitored the sleep habits of 40 healthy adults and their dogs, and participants wore activity trackers to monitor their sleep patterns. While dogs were considered good for sleep, the study advised against sleeping near cats because, as we all expected, they will try to kill you in your sleep. Now in national and international news, 9 residents of Florida nursing homes have died so far as a result of Hurricane Irma, exposing the vulnerabilities of these facilities and their lack of planning in the face of natural disasters. Carlos Canal died at 94 years old yesterday after a tree knocked out power to the facility during the hurricane, causing the home to lose air conditioning. This came the same day that an NPR report claimed that elderly facilities have been caught unprepared by even more mundane events than a hurricane, according to a federal inspection records. The report says that nursing homes rarely face reprimands by states, even when inspectors identify repeated safety violations. In one visit, inspectors found an El Paso, Texas nursing home had no plan for how to bring wheelchair-dependent people down the stairs in case of an evacuation. Another inspector in Colorado found that the home's courtyard gate was locked and that employees didn't know the combination to open it. During a fire at a Chicago facility, residents were evacuated in the wrong order, with those furthest from the blaze being evacuated first. Nursing home inspectors issued 2,300 violations of emergency planning rules over the past 4 years, but only 20 were labeled as serious enough to place residents in danger. A third of U.S. nursing homes have been cited for failing to inspect their generators each week or to test them monthly. None of these violations were labeled a major deficiency, although, as we've seen, this can be the difference between life and death in a natural disaster situation. A lack of backup power is being investigated as being that factor could have contributed to the death of the 9 people at the Hollywood Hills Rehabilitation Center in Florida. The deaths at the center have focused attention on these lapses in disaster planning rules, which facilities must comply with by mid-November. If compliance isn't met on time, then facilities will force the state officials to give them the stink eye, a curt hello, or even a passive-aggressive tweet. At least 225 people have died as a result of another earthquake that hit parts of Mexico on Tuesday. Emergency personnel dug through collapsed buildings in central Mexico, including the capital. The mayor of Mexico City, a sprawling metropolis of 20 million people, said that there were at least 44 collapsed buildings in the city. Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto said late on Tuesday that more than 20 children and 2 adults were found dead at the Colegio Enrique Rebsamen school. Another 30 children and 12 adults were missing, according to Nieto. So far, 95 people have died in the capital as of today. Graco Ramirez, the governor of Morelos, said that at least 55 people were killed, the most of any Mexican state. State of Mexico Governor Alfredo del Mazo said that at least 13 people died in his state. 13 people were also reportedly killed in the neighboring state of Guerrero. As many as 4.6 million homes, businesses, and other facilities lost electricity following the quake, according to the national power company, the Comisión Federal de la Electricidad. Most of the outages occurred in the states of Guerrero, Morelos, Puebla, Oaxaca, and Tlaxcala. The U.S. Geological Service said that the quake registered a 7.1 magnitude with an epicenter about 50 miles southwest of downtown Mexico City. The earthquake came on the same day as a citywide earthquake drill was planned on the anniversary of the 1985 quake that killed thousands of people. Last week, an 8.1 magnitude quake struck southern Mexico, causing damage and killing nearly 100 people in the southern states of Oaxaca and Chiapas. The earthquake says that it struck again because no one paid enough attention the first time. The attorneys general of 41 states have decided to investigate pharmaceutical companies over the distribution of opioid painkillers that have led to a spike in addiction and overdose deaths. The group issued subpoenas seeking information from opioid manufacturers Endo International, Janssen Pharmaceuticals, Teva Pharmaceuticals, Purdue Pharma, and Allergan. In addition, the group is demanding documents from distribution companies AmerisourceBergen, Cardinal Health, and McKesson. New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman said that the subpoenas are seeking to uncover, quote, whether or not there was deception involved and if manufacturers misled doctors and patients about the efficacy and addictive power of these drugs. The pharma industry already faces dozens of lawsuits brought by cities, counties, and states, including Ohio, Missouri, and Oklahoma. Some states are trying to recoup the cost of treating emergency responses to drug overdoses, a similar strategy to the lawsuits aimed at tobacco companies 3 decades ago. The opioid industry expanded in the 1990s as a result of doctors seeking more effective treatments for chronic pain. Schneiderman noted that millions of opioid users became addicted to the drugs in addition to heroin after being prescribed the substances by doctors. Many doctors in response said that they were assured the drugs were not addictive. State prosecutors say they will now determine whether the industry was complicit in creating the drug epidemic and whether it will be responsible to pay for the damage. The number of opioid prescriptions has decreased in recent years after federal regulators placed new limits on the drugs. That number dropped 18% in 2015 from a peak in 2010. However, this has caused many of the addicted to seek cheaper alternatives such as heroin. Isn't the free market wonderful? Hurricane Maria nailed the island of Dominica late Monday, causing widespread devastation, then moved on to St. Croix and Puerto Rico this morning as a Category 4 storm. Puerto Rico suffered from 175-mile-an-hour winds and life-threatening storm surges and rainfall to portions of the island, causing the entire island to lose power. Both Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands could see seawater levels rise 6 to 9 feet, while the British Virgin Islands could see seawater levels rise by as much as 7 to 11 feet. Those on the island are also expecting dangerous flash floods and mudslides. Authorities in Puerto Rico are calling for people in wooden or flimsy homes to find shelter, according to the Associated Press. Puerto Rico's public safety commissioner said that, quote, "You have to evacuate, otherwise you're going to die. I don't know how to make this any clearer." Late Monday, the president approved emergency declarations for Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands and authorized federal assistance and disaster relief efforts. Puerto Rico's Governor Ricardo Rosselló said that 500 shelters were prepared to take families who evacuated. The hurricane is certain to make Puerto Rico's already flailing economic situation even worse. Puerto Rico is already suffering from billions in debt and is in the middle of a debt restructuring process. This could make relief efforts that much more difficult. Elsewhere, Hurricane Maria also destroyed large parts of the island of Dominica. The Prime Minister of Dominica, Roosevelt Skerrit, said that the storm had so far caused the island to lose, quote, "all what money can buy and replace." The island was kept abreast of the storm by frequent updates on Facebook by Skerrit, who was himself trapped in his home. On Monday, Skerrit tweeted that "my roof is gone. I am at the complete mercy of the hurricane. The house is flooding." Within an hour of sending the tweet, Skerrit was rescued. In an interview, Mother Nature said, "I really don't know how I can make this any more clear." This was 5 on 20 News with Luc Goodhart. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube and Facebook accounts for all the latest Creative Tucson content. And feel free to bother us at info@creativetucson.org. Thanks for watching, and stay creative, Tucson.